Ben Fulford got his new report out, at least the first part of it. There was a part of it I kind of wanted to run through with you guys. I thought it was very interesting and certainly germane to what's going on. So to understand how the G7 dominoes are destined to fall, let us look at the real impact of what happened in Afghanistan. Here is how a senior CIA official in Asia described the situation. Don't let this Afghanistan pre-planned scenario get to you. It is mostly all turned around by the MSM for their puppet masters. For example, the prisoners that were released from jail were not terrorists or ISIS. They were political prisoners who were against the cabal that had been controlling the country for the last 20 years. Now, 90% of the opium fields were burned to the ground by the Taliban. This has stopped the cash flow for the cabal deep state. They are very desperate now. They cannot get cash from the Federal Reserve. London is also not issuing any more cash. The European Central Bank is not printing any more cash as well. Watch for a big false flag. Speaking about false flags, it is no coincidence that is the 20th anniversary of 9/11 approaches. We are seeing a systematic reversal of the neocon Project for a New America Century plan for world dominance it kicked off. Let us look at Afghanistan again. The real reason the U.S. invaded that country was to secure a pipeline and to protect heroin production. Before the U.S. invasion, the Afghan government supported a plan by Argentina's Bridas Corporation for a Chinese-Argentinian Turkmenistan pipeline. When the neocons controlling George Bush Jr.'s regime proposed giving the pipeline deal to the U.S. company Unocal, they were told it was too late and that a deal had already been signed. The neocons famously responded, "If you do not accept our carpet of money, you will get a carpet of bombs." Then, as soon as the Americans invaded, Bush named former Unocal consultant 𝐁𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐀𝐿 on his special envoy to Afghanistan. Now, the original Britas Chinese-Argentinian Turkmenistan plan is apparently back in play, and so an alliance between Pakistan and China has made it all possible. So now Iran, Turkmenistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and India are all building their own pipelines into the Central Asian region the neocons had tried to conquer. So the Americans achieve, after spending $2.3 trillion on 20 years of war in Afghanistan, what did they get? Afghanistan is the world's 7th poorest nation, with 47% of the population living below the poverty line, while over 75% of the hopelessly corrupt former Kabul regime budgets came from international aid. So although we're calling it a defeat, really kind of wasn't, I guess. I mean, at least this is what he's positing to us. But in the 20 years of war, only 2,448 U.S. troops died in battle, which is significant, but could have been worse. So the U.S., an economic superpower with a population 10 times that of Afghanistan, was killing impoverished Taliban at a rate of about 100 to 1, and yet they lost? What this shows is that even if the military wins all the battles, if they do not have the financial backing and proper strategic goals, they will lose. You can win all the battles you want, but if your paycheck bounces, it's game over. And that's what's going on with the deep state right now. Their cash machine, their paychecks, their ATMs, none of the stuff is working. None of it. And that's why they're saying a false flag is imminent. For sure. Don't know when, don't know what, don't know where. I do have a slide that I'll be bringing up here at one point that's going to be a great reminder for what all of you guys need to consider, what is likely going to happen. And if my audience was a lot larger than it is, I probably wouldn't talk about it because I would be afraid of starting a panic. But since it is a reasonably small audience, you guys are going to get the heads up, and I recommend you take advantage of it. We'll get to that. Jen Sakatak claims Taliban blocking flights carrying American citizens. That's not hostaging. No, that's not what that is. That's something different entirely. You know, they're just blocking them. They're just keeping them because they don't have the proper papers, because they don't have the proper travel plans, because, I don't know. What we're finding out is that the State Department, Biden's State Department, is actually who's failing. They are literally got planes waiting to fly, but they're dependent on the State Department to do something, and the State Department's refusing to do something. I get a little bit embarrassing to them, probably. The State Department is not allowing any private charters carrying refugees to land anywhere in nearby countries if they are coming out of Afghanistan, and is making different excuses as to why, such as pointing to the lack of air traffic controllers and radar issues. Clay told Fox News this week. The two other individuals separately involved in private evacuation efforts confirmed Clay's account. If we can get aircrafts in and pick up people and bring them out, why can't we take them to Doha to the refugee center or other refugee centers, Clay remarked. This makes no sense. We still have Americans we can get out, he added. After making little to no progress with the State Department, Clay's group turned senators from both parties, Tom Cotton, Republican from Arkansas, Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut, and Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, have all sought to help Plan B and other organizations secure the approval they need to get the evacuees safely out of Afghanistan, organizers and Senate staffers told Fox News. Now, there's some talk that there may be some frustration with the State Department because they have failed to do what they should have done, and now we've got private citizens putting themselves in harm's way, and it's basically an embarrassment to Biden's administration, as well as it actually undoes the damage they were hoping to cause. Biden's administration wanted Americans. That is what they're trying to accomplish, and we are fighting that because, from what we understand, Biden's not really in charge of anything at all. At all. I mean, like, he's probably just playing Super Mario Kart or whatever, and like just shows up sometimes and they just point at something and be like, hey, talk and read those words. He's like, duh, 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 duh. I mean, he's just out of his mind. We've got Secretary of State Blinken saying Taliban won't allow stranded Americans at Mazar-i-Sharif Airport to leave because they lack valid travel documents. Valid travel documents. So what, we're going to get them on that now? They're American citizens with supposedly American citizenship documents. I would hope that would be valid travel documents. Now, again, if there's some truth to some of the rumors we've heard that the deep state, the people that got left behind, maybe predominantly CIA and some of the bad apples and bad actors, people that are criminals basically, that maybe they're being left behind for that reason. Again, I think this is far more complex than we understand, and I do think the true game is being played right now. And what we're hearing about in the public media is what they want us to know. Well, we know they don't ever tell us the truth. So why is it they want us to know what they want us to know? Again, it's interesting right now because it makes Biden look bad. It's about to show that we've given China control. So maybe that's part of what they're trying to accomplish. Again, some Americans might be killed. That is something I think a lot of countries in this world want to see, and how embarrassing that would be to us. Again, just everything about this is playing out in very strange ways. And I don't think things are what we think they are. Now, us figuring out what they actually are, well, that tends to be a lot more tricky. But one thing we can generally rest on is what they're telling us is almost assuredly not true, right? So trying to figure out what is true, well, that's a challenge. So now we've got Senator Lindsey Graham saying that the U.S. will re-invade Afghanistan to, quote, fight terror. Remember what I was saying about Geo Fulford here, talking about how this is a failed, like we were getting out of there because of what's been going on in Afghanistan for 20 years. The drug running, the heroin, the poppies, all the stuff. And here we are with Lindsey Graham, one who's considers himself a hawk, is basically saying we're going to have to go back in. We're going to have to go back in. Whether it's Biden's fault or Trump's fault, doesn't matter. We're going to have to go back in. They're already making the case for having to get back. This is the deep state. Graham is deep state, 100%. 100% deep state. This guy doesn't love America first. He loves getting that money from wherever he's getting that money, and that's probably, in his case, the Defense Department. He's one of the, endless war guys. This could happen, are slated to happen, and are expected to happen very soon that are going to create this outcome. Before everyone rushes to the store, you guys should be the smart ones and make sure you get supplies. Make sure you got your waters, your toilet papers, your paper towels, canned goods, canned food. Like me, get a bunch of dried beans. Just in case, shouldn't last forever, but it could last a week or 2 or 3. Make sure you've got supplies. We don't know when this is going to happen. Make sure there's supplies that are not super perishable so you can hang on to them. This will happen here in America. Almost a guarantee. So make sure you're ready for it before it happens. You don't want to be the one that's like, oh crap, the news came out today, I got to run down to the store. No, you need to make sure a week before the news comes out, you've already been down to the store and you've got stuff in your pantry and you're ready to go. That's how this needs to play out. You've been forewarned. I don't know when it's coming, and we're not going to get a lot of notice. You're not going to get any sort of advanced notice. Don't think you'll be able to pay attention to what's going on and you'll know when it's going to happen. No. We're probably going to wake up one day, the internet's going to be out, we're going to wonder why our cell phone didn't wake us up, whatever. It'll be a weird day, to say the least. So